So today we're just gonna go through the syllabus ish, and then I'm gonna let you guys know what you need for GameNet, and also we're gonna go since we already missed two classes. I'm gonna go through a bit of introduction to Mirror and um there's a bit of code, right? So yeah, GameNet. GameNet. We're gonna change this one. You don't have to develop a first-person game. However, creating and joining rooms by random, essentially players, those are still uh the same thing naman. Mobile first-person shooter game. Uh, I'm thinking not mobile. The only reason why, because it's almost the same thing when you're gonna create a computer, oh, a game for a desktop, right? It's just that it's for mobile. But for the advanced network level programming techniques, I would still hold on to that button. It's just that you don't really have to create a mobile game. Then for the other one, develop multiplayer racing game. Not again. Not, I don't really want. Okay, the only reason why I don't want you guys to be restricted to first person shooter games is that I want you guys to create games that you like, or something that you like, something that interests you, so that if it interests you, mas magaganahan kayo uh, mag-work sa sa project na yun, right? You feel like doing it instead of like mindlessly creating FPS game. Baka other people here may not play FPS games at all. So at least in creating your own kind of project, it's something that you want to work on. That's something that you want to test on. Mga ganun, right? But yeah, um, it's basically just that. We're just changing the type of game that you are trying to create, but we are still implementing um all the other features that I want, that we want, like the network level functionalities, etc. Yeah. So, oh, sorry, questions about that. What if I like first person? Okay, yeah, you can go create a first person shooter. There's no problem about that. You can, if you want third person shooter, okay lang. You can go to anything. I know. I wouldn't mind at all. What I'll be checking lang kasi is how you create stuff. I could also check how you code, but the most important part is implementing the networking uh code. Okay? Any more questions? Okay. So technology requirements. Um, for Unity, I would like everyone to use 2022.3.62 F1. So let me just type that also. Unity 2022.3.62 F1. Oh, that's 5. Okay. Why I'm choosing this? It is under the LTS. Uh, it's one of the official releases. Really. I think it was here before. Was it here? Yeah, yeah, I think it was here. 2022.3.6 F1. I don't want to use Unity 6. Sure, it's the most latest, but it has, I guess, I think it has problems with. So I think from what I researched, naman, 2022 is still okay. Okay. So Unity 2022.3, then for C Sharp, oh sorry, for your code, Visual Studio, or you can use JetBrains. It's up to you. As long as you have, if you want to use Notepad++, go ahead. So, ikaw na bahala dyan. As I would recommend though Visual Studio. I think we have a Visual Studio naman that we can use from Microsoft. I think it's free. You don't have to. I mean, you can also use the community version. It's the same bananas naman. Right? Discord. Yep, you're all here. Yeah, cha cha cha. Etiquette. Okay. So again, for the topics, it's again the same thing, but we're not doing the first person shooter one. So, well, also this one. The reason why we're not using Photon, uh, last from what I heard, at least for the free one, there has been a bit of problems when it comes to connecting to the network. So for now, we'll use Mirror. Uh, Plus Mirror is a bit, it's much easier to use, and I recall there's some known games that also use Mirror, so we're gonna use that, right? But in everything else, they're creating the player, creating join the room, uh, spawn players. Yeah, so all of this we're still gonna follow. The synchronized movement, synchronized player data. We're still gonna follow that. Uh-huh. For this one, again, not mobile, but I'm gonna have to change a bit of this here as well because it's almost the same thing if you read about it, except for the mobile part. It's almost the same thing. I'm gonna have to add something here. Maybe implement a certain feature that you could use also for your future projects, maybe a chat feature or whatnot. So we're gonna do that. Uh, so that's for the outcome two. Outcome three, uh, again, your own game, your own. We could technically be working on the same game for the three, for these three parts. It's all right because what we're gonna do is we're gonna just add more into it. We're gonna try to add more functionalities into it, trying to maybe use things like additive scenes. Like how Stardew Valley is, where it's a multiplayer, but they're players in different scenes, right? So maybe we you could do that. Exit events, yeah. Then finally, on the last few weeks, final project. This one will be a whole different project, but uh, I think I'm kind of leaning more on working with a partner for this. Yeah, yeah. I'll do that. Questions, sir? Is there any platform that we should add when installing? Uh, Up to you. If you wanna create a mobile game, go ahead. You can add in Android or iOS, but everything else should still be okay. Kasi yung for the network part, it is just a package, a asset that we're gonna use. um from the asset store. Multiplayer racing FPS game. Go ahead. Margaret. Can you like work on the same game for every output? Yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking. You can work on the same game for everything on is what I'm thinking. Because what we're gonna do is just gonna keep adding more into it. Now the thing now if you feel um like the feature that you want to add is maybe not for that game, you can create another project for it because it's the same, at least the initial part, creating a server, whatever. Those are the same thing. It's just that maybe you want to create another project for to add this other feature. No, up to you. Not for the finals, if ever, sir. No, is that I'll say iba yung finals. Iba na yung finals. I think I want you guys to work with another um student. 3 course outputs. Yes, you have 3 course outputs and a final project. Yep. Anything else? Yeah. Well, this is also recorded, but basically, you could work on the same game, but we're gonna be keep on adding different features into it. And these features are network related. Could maybe be a chat feature. Could maybe a changing scene kind of feature, like like having different scenes for different players. So we could do that. We don't have to create a mobile game. Um, we also don't have to create a racing game. For that part again. You can create your own type of game, something that you want to work on. That way, you feel like doing your project. You may have gone sa ano sa filtered censorship. If you think about it, um, they probably have a list of words that they always check before you before the moment you send the message. So if they see any word in it, uh, they're gonna asterisk it. If you think about it, no, yeah. So maybe one feature is PvP weapons, another feature is enemies. When I mean features, not technically about the game, but about network, network related. So you can do whatever feature you want for your game, but I mean mechanics for your game. But what we're gonna change is, what we're gonna add is into the networking part. No, there's no requirement if 2D or 3D. You can do anything naman. If you don't have any game in mind, and you just want to do GameNet, you can just stick to FPS naman. Kayo bahala. Kung di nyo, I mean, kung wala kayong maisip na game and it's not interesting to you. It's up to you guys. When it comes to networking future, not just two parties can interact. We are talking about features related to network, um like imagine how do two people play the same game but they're in different scenes, no? How do two people how does one how does the variables interact online? How do server client work? No, we're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna be adding more into that. Like how do chat work? How does chat work from client going to the server and then going from server to all the other clients? I'm gonna leaderboard count somewhat, somewhat. Well, more of like if you talk about leaderboard, um, it's like getting I don't know, getting data from somewhere that is saved, and then each time someone gets a new record, data is saved to that data. I mean, data is saved to that data wherever that is, and then now it's updated. Could be no collisions. Collisions are medyo basic naman yung collisions when it comes to collisions. Maybe on how how things can interact in the network. Sure. But collisions itself is a little bit yeah, basic ish. Especially when it comes to mirror. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unity has that. Right. Any more questions for the outcomes? Yeah, yeah. Assets you can get in the asset store. You can find online. You can do that naman. Well, when it comes naman to yung mga projects na from the learning outcomes, like um yung first I'm not sorry, not project. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good project. Yung mga small projects naman, I wouldn't really mind if your assets are just uh yung mga basic lang. What I'm gonna be looking for naman is yung networking part, the multiplayer part. Say it was like racing in a work and shoot in red shell while coding how the location shall fly. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, we can talk about that when it comes to how things move from uh your how things move from your end to the server's end, right? We're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna show you and how it works. So yeah, player A to B. Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna be talking about that naman. Like same thing, like how do projectiles work in the multiplayer aspect, no? We're gonna talk about that. Yeah, it's all right. Um, it's all right naman if you kung wala akong maisip. Uh, I'll introduce it to you guys naman. I'll give you guys uh tasks on what I'm gonna look for in your game. Okay, you don't have to think about it yourself. uh, Leave it to me to think what features I want. I mean, I already have it in mind naman. Heavy great visuals? No, no, no. The visuals for me is at least for the first few, not the finals. In finals, sure, I'll put visuals. But for yung mga exercises, di naman. Would Bengana interact with the player data work? Yeah, I mean, think about like health, no? Let's say in FPS games, how does health work? How does the data from the health work? How is it updated for both ends? Or if you think about like the inventory of two players, is it saved in the client? Is it saved in the server? So we're gonna talk about that. If you guys know Picrin, is the items saved in the server? Is this item saved in the client? So yeah, we'll be talking about that. So when you mean server and client, server is where the main game is happening, no? Clients are just connected to the server and how those two interact with each other. Ayun, we're gonna talk about that. Any more questions? Are we good? Okay. So for the next one, it's the rubrics. Now, this rubric will be used for the final project. For the exercises, um, you don't really have to follow this. Exercises is more of just yung uh whatever I'm gonna be asking you to do. No. Pero like for oh wait. Oh, this doesn't have no. This doesn't have not code quality. Aesthetics. Walang UX. Huh. If this is the case, that means aesthetics doesn't care. You don't care about aesthetics? Uh, I want to put aesthetics. Aesthetics is for just 10%. Probably use good quality for it. Code architecture, you know, code architecture is under code quality also. Eh, anyway, requirements will still be 50%. Uh, how it's graded is based on what is asked for. Code quality is I'll say 30%. No. For code quality, it's more of how clean your code is, how optimized your code is. Um, what I'm looking for is code that, not too much copy pasting codes of the same thing. We're trying to we're gonna try to look for code that is clean, that is understandable. Your variables are named right. Um, what else? Naming conventions. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then finally, code architecture. I'm sorry, not finally. There's gonna be UX. I mean aesthetics. But anyway, code architecture. Um, this one. So, ano yung code architecture dito? Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna check how your code works, how your system works, if it is optimal or not. And I would like Sana to add aesthetics for just 10%. Just for again, this whole rubric is just gonna be used for the finals. Aesthetics is based on how your game looks like, the sounds, if everything works right, is what I'm yeah, that's for aesthetics. I'm gonna put those in the rubric in Big Sky for you to read. Okay. So yeah, so 50, 30, 10, 10 yung isa pa yung 10 na ano, uh, aesthetics. Okay? Questions here? None. So module projects will be 40%, final project will be 50%, student participation 10%. So student participation is mostly just uh, being present. I don't really grade when it comes to students asking questions or what. I guess just being present, no. As long as you're here, you get a 10%. Okay? Questions about what we just went through? None? Okay. So if you have any more questions about this in the future, feel free to message me naman. Uh, this should be accessible in your Big Sky. Okay. So if there are no questions, we can go straight to working with Unity and yung package, yung asset pala. I'll teach you how to get it, what other packages I want you guys to use to help. Okay, so if you have any questions while I'm teaching here, I mean, I'll look back here from time to time. But if it's something that you think is urgent and I still haven't addressed it, then you probably just soundboard it. I'm gonna hear it. Okay. All right. So like I said, we're gonna use 2022.3.6 to F1. And when you create a project, there's really nothing that you need to specifically add here. That you can do 2D or 3D. You can name it anything. Ayun. So this is the Unity Hub. I'm pretty sure you have also the Unity Hub because kailangan ni Unity. I mean, you're required to use Unity Hub, right? So yeah, there's no specific in choosing these. You can choose them on anything, right? So what do we need? One, we need a mirror, the package mismo. How do we get that? It's through the asset store. So if you go to Window, Asset Store, it's going to open the Unity Asset Store. And if you search mirror, it's this one, the mirror networking, not the mirror, not not this also, not also this mirror under the mirror networking. Okay, hold on there. So So this is the one. It has it tells you all of this, how the transports, the interest management, etc. Yeah. So all you have to do here is add to my assets. Should be here. So if you worked with, I mean, if you've used the asset store before, yeah, nothing new. Just add this to your assets so that you'll be able to add it into your project mismo. So to do that, if you add it to your assets already in here in the package manager, if you check my assets, this should a mirror should appear from your list of assets, and you see it's also the same text. Okay, so you just add this. If we're gonna import it, well, I think it's gonna be here for at the start download. No, you're gonna download muna the package, and then you're gonna be able to import it into your project. Now, if you import it, it'll ask you what you want or what you don't want to add into your project. Um, Later on, you're gonna find out that you're not gonna need everything here. No, there's some here. There are some parts here that like examples. Maybe you don't need the examples. Hosting a little bit. Presets. You could actually remove presets. Uh, Transports. You need transports. Script templates. Parang hindi rin. Right. Pero for now, we're just gonna add everything, including examples, later on, so that your project will be smaller. You can remove parts of this. So yeah, it is happening. Just adding it's importing it into the project, and what's gonna happen is it will show a new folder in your project window, and then you have mirror. It is mirror. So by doing that, you've added uh the capabilities of networking into your project. And they do say that you have to restart um, Unity after doing that. Why? Just to make things work. DAO. So we're gonna do that also. There's another thing also I want you guys to use just to help, just to make your life easier when it comes to creating a game through using a multiplayer game, I mean, which is called parallel sync. So this one, because in order for you to test a game, you have to build it pa. Oh man, yeah, tama. You have to build it pa, and then you're gonna run the build and run the editor, and that will be now two people in the multiplayer game. You can also add, you can also run the game two more times to make it four people. Either that, or you can use parallel sync, which is it. It's like creating another editor for you. Okay. So in order for this to work, here, just read the installation. Make sure you back our project just in case something happens, and then download Unity package from the latest release. In this case, it's this. I want the latest. So here's the latest. This is the package that I want. Just click on it. It downloads. And then in order for you to use it in the asset, you right click and here, or I think there's also edit, uh, not edit, asset, import package. So same thing here, import package. Then we have parallel sync, import. So in doing so, you will now add a new uh, option in the toolbar, parallel sync. So this again is just to help you in testing your game. What it does is again, it just creates a new copy of your project into your folder. All right. Questions about that? All we did was just get mirror and parallel sync. None. Okay. So when you have mirror, there's actually some examples that you can check out. Like you could check how rooms work, or you can try the Pong for yourself. Like how you're able to connect to it and play with another player. So you can check that out. You can also check how the scripts work, how the how it uses the network manager, how the ball is coded, and see how rigid body works on when it comes to multiplayer games, right? So you could do that. Um, Additive levels, yeah. So these are examples. But for now, we're just going to create a simple project lang naman. And I can do both a 2D and 3D part of it. Okay. So uh it's like creating a Unity game. However, you're gonna have to use some components for it to work uh in for multiplayer, right? So what are those? One, you need to have a thing called network manager, which is here. Network manager right here. So the network manager, this holds, and it's a lot here, no? But it's the one that creates the server or connects as a client. So it handles that for you. You see here it has uh well the configuration. This one is more of like if you want it to start headless, meaning it won't create a does it create? I don't think it creates a when you press build. I don't think it builds the game. It's more of just um the background part of it. But anyway, there's that. Then you have offline scene and online scene. These are two important parts. Um, like offline scene is the one where it all starts, where you can start a server or host a server, and then you can also have the client part, right? Then you have transport. Transport is the one that makes you connect to the multiplayer part for online. No, there are different kinds of transport. Um, we can talk about it in the future, but for now, We're just gonna use one that is used most of the time. Next, you have the network address. For now, it's localhost because we're gonna be working on my own compute on your own computer. But later on, you could change it. Thinking if I'm gonna change it. Yeah, we can do. We can work on this later on. But for now, just localhost. Localhost meaning just your own, um, from your own computer. Max connections. How many people can connect to it? Uh, Authenticator. This one, I think. Um, Sorry. Authenticator is more of like how it authenticates so that if the connection is right, if everything is right, maybe if it's Steam or if it's uh, from another platform. So that's the one. Player prefab is the one that spawns in when you start the game. So this is the one that the player will um, work on. This one, it says itself auto create player. If you don't want to auto create player, you can turn it off. Spawn method, random, round robin. Round robin meaning it starts from the first player and then goes down that that list. For kapag random, bahala na lang kung sino-sino. This one is more of like for if you want them to spawn in uh at certain times or like you want them in a row, mga ganun. Well, yeah. So there's that. Everything else, you can just leave it as is naman. Yeah, yeah. You just leave it at. We can talk about this in the future more. Spawn wall prefabs, but for now we can just leave it blank. Okay. So what do we need? Offline scene. We can make sample scene as our offline scene, but we're gonna have to create a online scene. So that one it can literally just be blank for now. So let's create a scene, online scene. So let's put that here, there, online. Transport. For the usual transport they use is KCP transport. So we can talk about this more in the future, but this is what people usually use, at least also for local KCP transport. So that you can put that here also. So that is the KCP transport. Then the prefab. The prefab, for now, we can go create our own prefab. Let's go player. Uh, let's create a 2D game for now. So in that case, let's create the sprite for it. Sprite render, ball. Let's color it blue. Uh, Sige, yun muna for prefab. Prefabs. Let me just create a folder for it. You don't have to create a folder, but for me, it's just so it's much clean. Uh, huh? So wait, delete that. So we have the prefab here. Then what else? Prefab. Ah, right. So you can see here, prefab must have a network identity. So yun palang may problema. Network identity is a component as well. It tells that it is a object that is reliant on the network. So you can tell if it's that it's part of the network. So these are usually the players or maybe an object that you want for both for everyone's game to be updated on, right? So like imagine a pong ball. Pong is the one where you're two paddles and there's a ball, right? The ball has to be a network identity because it needs to be seen by both players and it must be updated uh for both players at the same time. If you're gonna have something that is not reliant on the network, maybe uh let's say like FPS game. Let's say if you shoot the ground, a chunk of rock just pops out. That could be a game object without network identity because maybe you don't want it to appear for the other players just some uh to save you some speed, some data from working between two players because it things I can remember things costs um when it comes to networks. So everything that you do that you want to appear or you want to update, no, it'll cost you in the from the network side. So if you have a slow net, maybe things will be lagging, right? That's why we have like latency, whatever. So you have to be careful what you want to keep updating or not. Okay. So yeah, you just add your network identity and then you should now be able to add the game object, right? So how does this work? For now, just so you can see it yourself, uh, because you need how you need to have a HUD, no, to press the start client, to host a server, etc. For now, let's work. Let's just use this para makita niyo agad. Network Manager HUD. So this one, it literally just creates a HUD for you. So if you press play, ayan. So this one, it's a GUI, just graphics lang from Unity. So this is just buttons lang. But let's test it out. Parallel sync, clones manager, create a new clone. So what it's doing is it's copying everything. And now we have this. So for now, I'll just open in new editor and it'll open a new project. So you're gonna have to make sure you're not working on GameNet _clone. Or in this case naman, it won't it will actually stop you from working here, no? It'll say na this is not the main the main project. It'll stop you naman. So far, any questions? Ayan. So you're gonna have to check first. Let's see. How much does it work? How much does it use? You're gonna probably need at least maybe 4 GB. Right now it's only 2.8, no, but maybe 4 GB of memory. Hopefully you have a 8 GB RAM, maybe, or you can go further. Because if not, if you're forced to, if you're forced to not do that, to not use the parallel sync, you're gonna have to build it yourself. Okay. All right, sorry. Before we do that, we must include the scenes in the build setting. Basically, it's just moving these, adding it here. And I think that's it. Let me just see if that's updated here. Oops. Yeah, my bad. You were supposed to add these first, the scenes. So let's try it out. Let's play for both. Let me just maximize this, maximize this. So here, uh, I hosted a server, and here I will try to connect to it. So the thing is, we can't really change, we can't really see the difference, no. But if you check on the online scene, the scene itself, we have two players now, con ID 0 and con ID something something. And you also see here, no, di pala, wala dyan. But yeah, so these are the player prefabs that we just spawned in, and it has the network identity, it has the same sprite. We can now add, I mean, this is just to show you yung hosting and client. You see here also, if you check the server only, if it's server only, you'll notice that we don't have any player. Why? Because when you try to do server only, we are telling the game that there won't be any that instance of the game will not control any player. It is just acting as a server. That means if you try to connect to it, it'll only be one player, which is the other instance. Okay, so that's server. If you disconnect to that, this also disconnects. All right. So if we don't want to use network HUD, we can actually create it our own. Um, let's go create a UI button. We can import TMP, Text Mesh Pro, just to organize things. I want a, wala dito. Ito na lang. Uh, horizontal, forgot what it's called. Horizontal layout. Make this to the, let's put two, vertical. Sorry. I wanted a vertical layout view. Okay, so this one will be host. This one will be join. You can choose to have no spacing. We can put maybe a spacing here. Anyway, uh, this one will be host. This one will be join. Okay. Um, what's gonna happen is if you can actually check this for yourself. You can see how things work when you press the start server client here. So it has the code for this. Like, uh, ayan. If you press the host server client, it will call manager start host. If you press the client, it will do start client. So it's almost the same thing, what we're about to do. So let me just code that. This will be the canvas controller, UI controller. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the the start. Actually, nah. Let's just do it. There's actually also a way to do that pala without having to create a script. which is just adding a network manager and go to start host. Yeah, I mean, you could do this just to speed things up. But you can also create a UI controller and then make sure that it gets the it has a network manager as a variable, and then you can put the functions in there. Or you can do this. Start host. This is also network manager. Start client. So let's test it out again. Is it still here? Okay. Oh, let me just turn that off. So yeah, same thing. If I press host, it will now host. And then, oh, sorry, I closed it. Then for the other one, if I press join, it will now join. The same, they're technically the same code. It's just that the HUD that we had, it uses a GUI. Yeah, parallel sync. Hard drive. We're gonna pray. You're gonna pray your hard drive works. Uh, it may take a while, siguro, when it comes to loading stuff. Anyway, why are you activated? So press join. We should now be in the same server. Okay. So how do we make it move? How do we make the player move? Oops. Okay. For the player, let's give it some movement. Maybe left, right, up, down. Uh, yeah, yun lang muna. Player. I want to call this player controller. You can also name it as player. Up to you. But what we're gonna do is give it some controls for movement. Okay. So the difference with this is that instead of mono behavior, we're gonna use a different class. And this class will be is the one that's used for mirror. It's called network. Oh, sorry. Add in mirror there. Network behavior. It actually is just mono behavior, but it has some variables and functions. So if you're interested what is inside network behavior, you can always just go to mirror. You can always just go to their API. This has all the functions and variables for network behavior and all the other stuff. So you see here, you have access to all these on start server. Uh, you have the properties also is server, is local player. Ayan. Okay. So there's that. If you're just interested lang, you don't have to memorize all this. If you just want to know what is inside or what you have access for network behavior, you can check it out there. Anyway, in order for things to move, if you know how, does everyone know input, or at least the player input of Unity? Yes? No? Because you know input that get key down, input that get access. You guys know that? No? Am I hearing a no? Okay. But do you know the where is that? Input manager. Do you know this? Alam niyo naman to, no? Yeah, get key up, yeah. Okay. So input manager, sometimes you don't really use this. Sometimes you just use get key down, get key up, get key, get key, right? This one, um, you can tell which what are the buttons. So it's like right, left, AD. So if you want to use this instead of yung get key down, you pwede naman. They both work naman. It's just that you see here, like for mouse X, it uses the mouse movement. For jump, it uses the key for the x-axis. Ayun. Like for horizontal, you see it's AD. For vertical, it is SW, or up down. You can also use this for controllers. Here, that's why there's a joystick. So if you have a controller that you want to try out, uh, this also works. Okay. Sige. So for the code, in order, kasi, okay, let me just code it first. This is going to be a bit wrong, but you see why. So let's get our movement. Uh, movement equal to new vector to input dot get axis. I want x to be horizontal, and then input dot get axis. This is vertical. So get axis kasi it's a float. It gets the whatever is the number or the value of the uh axis, or when you press the A or D, or this one W and S. Sure, you could do instead like if input get get key down equal W, and then gonna be like movement X equal to 1, or plus equals to 1, right? Or for the next one, input that get key down, key code S. Oh, sorry, it's W. It's Y. But do you see my point? Y plus minus equals 1. I'm gonna have to code this like four times for each axis. At least this one, parang isa lang. But anyway, up to you. If you want to do this, go ahead. It's the same thing. Um, they both work naman. But for now, I'll just use this. So after movement, I want to say this, that transform, that position, plus equals, uh, vector 3 movement times time dot delta time. So how does that work? If you press play, I press host, my object is now moving up, down, left, right. Let's go to um the client, the other client. If I press D, you'll notice the other object is moving with me. Why? Because remember, both of these also have the player controller. They both are using the same script. So how do we differentiate it? How do we say that this one is owned by the current player or something? No, that is where uh is local player. This is the boolean that tells if this player controller is owned by the local player. In this case, if it is not the local player, I will just return. This way, if it's not the local player, I will not run this. You could also change it. It could be like um, this dot game object. This dot set act. Nope. This active. Wait lang. I'm trying to. No, I don't want the. Enabled. Pwede rin to. What happens is it will be enabled for the player, but if you have something here, like update or whatever, then this may not be good for you. So up to you. You can just do this now. If it's not the local player, return. Okay. So by doing that, if I press host, I join, the other object is not moving anymore because it is not owned by the local player. Okay. Questions? Will this be considered a network feature? Uh, yeah, yeah. To be able to move things that is not uh from the from the other another object. So yeah, it is considered like a network feature. But then you'll notice that in the server, the object is still here in the middle. No, in here I'm already up here in the upper right. However, in the server, it isn't. Okay, because what's happening here is we are just working on the client lang. We are telling here in this instance here in this client, I can move around here, whatever. The thing is, it is not telling the server that it did this. Hence, that object is still in the middle. So how do you do that? There's ways for mirror to do that. One is we can use something called the transform network transform. What this does is it will automatically sync the transform of this uh, to the server and then sends out to the client. So everyone is in the same page. So everyone is in the same network as, I mean, whatever position they're in dapat. So if you try that out again, I will host. Let me maximize this. You guys can see host, join. So now you'll see that both are moving. This is player one. This is the player two. I'll go to the player two. Ayan. So it is updating. It is updating correctly for both. Okay? Questions? You'll notice that if you play with this more, you'll notice it also has different kinds of um network, whatever. Because you also have network rigid body. You have network rigid body 2, 2D, and those are all yung when it comes to movement, no. Uh, transform, rigid body 2D. So if you want to have rigid body to work, no, then you have to make sure that it has rigid body. Okay? I can show it to you. Siguro yun yung last na for this one. Kasi you're way more than 1 hour. Chances are medyo sabog na. No? But for that, let me just create the online scene. Let me just put a 2D object here. Floor. Um, rigid body 2D, box collider 2D, and sprite render. That is just make this longer, put it down here. Maybe not white, maybe let's make it off-white. Oh, yeah, make sure I don't want it to move, so it's static. Yeah, that should be okay. Then for our player, let's say I don't want to use network. I want to use the rigid body. So let's give it the rigid body 2D. Make sure we also have the network rigid body, and I'll give it the a box collider. Okay. So all we did here, we just added the rigid body, box collider, and the network rigid body so that it updates correctly. And then I have to change this. We're not going to be using the transform. Rigid body 2D. I'll get the rigid body. This dot get component rigid body 2D. What I will make it do is rb dot force. Add force movement. Maybe times 2, just so we can see it move. Uh, I want the jump. I want the jump though. If input get speed down, code dot space rb dot add force new vector 0, let's say 5, and then you make sure that the force is an impulse. So this is just, if you learn more about rigid body, there are also different kinds of force modes. Force mode, add force is just literally just adding force now. But anyway, uh, they'll just make it go left, right, and then it can jump. That is the goal for that one. So let's try it out first. Yeah. So here's our, what is this? Very close. Oh no. Um, you have to make sure it is rigid body 2D, because since I used rigid body 2D, you should use network rigid body 2D. Ayan. So this is my character now. It's kind of sliding like on ice, and then it has jump. It has multiple jumps. And then let's try that out on the client side. Maximize, maximize. Hopefully it updated here. Ayan. So you see, it is also following the rigid body. Okay? So you can do this. You can do this in 3D. It uses the same principles lang. You just have to add in the rigid body, the network rigid body. Make sure your code has a this local player, just so it doesn't affect everyone. This one, up to you. You don't have to follow it. It's mostly just me being lazy and not doing this. Okay, you could technically do this if you want. Still works. This one you don't really have the times two. I just wanted you to see. I just wanted to make the movement much faster. It'll still work without it. It's just that it'll be much slower going left and right. Okay, questions? Clarification? Client network behavior callbacks. Uh, Iba pa ba yung host sa client? Technically, when you host a server, you are acting kind of like a client to itself. If you start a server, okay, if you start a server, okay, let's go back to black. If you start a server, you're creating a place, a network, a room, no? But yun lang. When you host a server, not only are you creating a server, but you have um control, a player control on it. That's why uh mag-a-add siya ng player pa, which is will be whoever is on that server. So client code still works for the host ish. Involve a host a client network behavior callbacks. Uh, so you'll learn later on about yung mga just for the host lang or just for the server or sending to the server or sending to the client. We're going to talk about more of that next time. But for now, I just want you guys to work on yung just creating just to go server, just to create a server, host a server client. I want you guys to just understand, to try it out first on your end. Then we can talk about more. We can talk about it more later on. Yeah, yeah. This is recorded naman. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, medyo overtime na tayo dito. It's not for me. Uh, I'm okay here. It's for you guys who are intaking this knowledge. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A bit long for today. But yeah, uh, I'm gonna create a Dropbox for this. Uh, it's literally just you creating. I'm gonna have to fix it up, but it's about you creating a game. Again, any game can be simple lang. Literally, you don't have to have features into it right away. When I mean features like mechanics and stuff, at least something parang a starting point lang. Kahit movement lang, right? You're just gonna have to create that. You're gonna create the uh like the join room or host the server or join as a client, and then some type of movement. Either you want rigid body, if you want transform, if you want rigid body 2D, go ahead, use that. Okay. So I'm gonna set that up. Due date not next week. Mm, nah, maybe later pa din next week. Actually, pwede nga next week. Medyo madali nga lang to. It's a bit simple lang. But anyway, yeah. If you have any questions again, feel free to message me or message here. I'm always open man to any discussion. I'll reply as soon as I'm available. Okay. But yeah, that's it all lang for today. You guys can go enjoy the remainder of your night, and I'll be seeing you guys next week.